New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
New Thought Media Network proudly presents Having Courageous Conversations, where real talk dives deep. Each week we go beyond surface talk. We open our hearts, speak our truths, and dive into the stories that shape us. No scripts, no filters, just powerful, unforgettable conversations about life, purpose, healing, and truth. Join the conversation, because your voice belongs here. Please like, share, and subscribe. Check out our YouTube channel at Having Courageous Conversations or email us at yourshowyourvoice@gmail.com. Now, let's have a courageous conversation.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are joining us from. Welcome to today's episode of Courageous Conversations. Having Courageous Conversations is a heartfelt, spirit-led online series where we explore the transformative power of honest dialogue. Rooted in authenticity, compassion, and spiritual awareness, this show invites voices from all walks of life to engage in meaningful conversations. Many times, conversations we often avoid but deeply need to be having. My name is Cheryl Rogers, and I'm delighted to be here with you and my wonderful co-host, Mark Dupuis, who's going to introduce us to our very special guest today, Valerie Hill.
Thank you, Cheryl. I'm going to introduce Valerie, and I'm sitting here thinking that it's so interesting. You can meet someone in a certain circumstance. Valerie and I serve on a board together, and then I find out this interesting story behind her. So let me introduce Valerie. She is a 21-year veteran reporter with the Waterloo Region Record, retiring in 2019. She has covered hard news, courts, politics, everything except sports. But her heart has always been in telling people stories. Valerie continues to write the weekly obituary feature, Lifetimes, for the Record, and she has a number of other writing and editing projects in the works. Another story. Her career as a reporter unexpectedly led her to visit Uganda, where she instantly fell in love with the country and its people. As I said those words, I got goosebumps, and I'm not quite sure why, Valerie. Please tell us what led you to Uganda.
Okay, well, it was the family day long weekend. I guess I have an anniversary coming up. And I was assigned to interview Michael von Tieckman, who was the owner of the Walper Hotel downtown Kitchener, because he was donating money through an organization in Waterloo to build a school in Uganda. So he would donate every time the room in his hotel was rented. He would donate $1 a day from that room. So it got to be a substantial amount of money. And he'd been to Uganda at least once or twice just to see where his school was going to be situated in the city. And I'm always being very adventurous. So I thought, gee, I think I want to go and see this. So I did. I raised about $8,000 to put towards the school. And I got in touch with the organization Michael was working with, and they arranged for me to go to Uganda. And I was the only one from here, so it was just me and my handlers, who were absolutely fabulous. And they took me to the site of where the new school was going to be, and it was just a big empty field with a big termite mound in the middle. So it was kind of hard for me to envision what this was going to look like. And I was only there 2 weeks. And I ended up getting really sick while I was there. So it was a challenging 2 weeks, but still it was wonderful. I loved all of it. And on the last day, I went to visit a high school right just outside of the capital city of Kampala. And the kids in this high school performed for me. That was it. I was done for because I have a real soft spot. I love kids, but I love teenagers. And they were all teenagers. One girl in particular, Muhai, and she became my Ugandan daughter, and she's in her late 20s now, and I still support her. And yeah, so that was it. So then I came back home to Waterloo Region, to Kitchener, and I said to my friends, I really think it'd be wonderful if we could bring these kids here and raise money for the school. They could come here as a performing group. And my friends, who were as naive as me, said, sure, how hard could it be? Well, first of all, none of the kids even had birth certificates, never mind passports. So a lot of them didn't even know when they were born. So we had to send them to their home villages, find an elder in the village to say, yeah, they were born here roughly that year. They all chose January 1st as their birthday. So we had to get their birth certificates, and then we got their passports, and then we got their travel visas. So it was quite a process, and it was just out of naivety that we didn't know we couldn't do this, so we did it. Right? There's a life lesson right there. As long as you don't overthink this and say, well, that's not possible, just remember us. We did it. So the first year was 20, when we all, so a bunch of us went to Uganda, and the first year we brought them here was 2014. Yeah, 2014. But on top of that, there was a local filmmaker who really wanted to help us. And we had 2 filmmakers who came with us, and we did a film, and it was called Subi. Oh gosh, what was it called? The name of the group was Subi anyway, and it was screened at the Grand River Film Festival, and it was fantastic because the kids had been here for a couple of weeks. They were performing around high schools and concert halls, and they were really attracting a lot of local attention. And then on the night of the screening, I had them all stand behind the screens, and it was at what is now the Hamilton Family Theater. We showed screened the film. And then they started drumming as the credits were rolling, and the curtains went up, and all the kids were there drumming. And everybody in the whole place was crying. So it was really fantastic. But it just sort of went from there. We actually brought that group here twice, and they performed here twice. But that high school, there was a few issues with it, which I won't get into right now. But around the same time, a young man from a fairly remote village in a place called Claro, he contacted me by email. He had sent emails out to every organization he could find in Canada and the US that even mentioned Uganda. And I guess he found something with my name on it, probably a story out of the record. And he wrote to me. He said he wrote to dozens of organizations and individuals, and I'm the only one that responded. So we refocused our attention on him and his school. It's called Green Hill. And so we've been supporting them since about 2014. And this whole idea, as I call this talk, Drumming Me Home, was the first time I actually went to Green Hill. And Jonas, the young man's name, he arranged for me to stay with his mom and his family. And they lived in a very remote area way out in the country. And of course, there's no electricity. There's absolutely there's no amenities whatsoever. But that night when I was laying in bed, I could hear this drumming. And it was pitch black, and you can't exactly get up and wander around. So the next morning I asked, I said, what is that? What was that drumming? And he said, oh, they were drumming them home. So people in these remote areas, when they go visiting, there's no street lights. They don't have flashlights. It's pitch black. So the only way they get back to their village or their hut, wherever they live, is their family keeps drumming until they just follow the sound of the drum. And I really felt from that point on that I felt at home. I feel so comfortable in Uganda as if I was born and raised there. I still don't speak the language. Shame on me, but they all speak English because it had been an English colony. So they make it very easy for me. But then I started going every year. My friend Ev and Ev is also part of this. She started this with me. We would go every year. We would take groups of volunteers. We took a lot of teachers and a lot of supplies for them. And we really tried to support the local community. And the one issue I find with a lot of people, North Americans, the Westerners, they have this idea that we know better because we have the education, we have the money. So these poor little Africans should listen to us because we know better. That makes me crazy. And I always said to everybody in Uganda, what do you need and how can we help?
Yeah.
You know, I never, ever dictated what I thought they needed because inevitably I'd be wrong. We would all be wrong because we don't have a clue. Yeah. So the very last, so we did a lot of, at that elementary school, we built new latrines. We put in a dormitory for the girls. There's a new one's going in for the boys. We put in a water because there was no water collection and they have rainy season. So we put in a water collection. And this is all money that was generated through people in Waterloo Region. And the very last project we did just before COVID was installed a sewing room in the school. We also added a lot of classrooms, but we installed a sewing room. We got some machines, sewing machines and fabric. And then COVID hit and they had to shut everything down. However, the one thing they needed and they didn't have any access to was masks. So guess what the sewing room people were doing? We were sending money to them so they could buy fabric and everything they needed. And they were making masks. Initially, it would be for local people that were particularly vulnerable, seniors. They did a lot of masks for, there was a school that has children with developmental delays and physical disabilities. They did it for them. So they made thousands of masks. And they really got a lot of attention from the government for the work they were doing. Yeah, so our next project now is we're going to hopefully start raising money for, they want a high school now. Because once you start one project, it's like when you start a project at home, you think, oh, I'll just paint the kitchen. Next thing you know, you're renovating your whole house. That's exactly what happens there too. But Ev and I have discovered that we work really well together. We know what we're doing, and it's actually, we get more done if it's just the two of us. So we shut down the organization, which was called Dream Share Uganda. We shut it down, and we work now through Kiwanis Foundation. So if people donate, they still, it's still done through a legitimate organization, and we never take a cent, ever. Even all the year, I used to go to Uganda every year, and I always paid, and Ev too, and we pay out of our own pocket. We never ever use any of the fundraising money. So, yeah, and just being there, I just can't even describe to you what it's like. The kids know we're coming. We usually there's a couple of van full of us volunteers. We come up the driveway of the school. They're all lined on both sides of the road, and they're screaming and singing and dancing, and they're so excited to see us, and we're all crying. We're so happy to see them, and it's just it's really beautiful. Yeah, they are just the most lovely people. They don't ask for anything. I've never had any, well, occasionally a kid will come up and say, will you sponsor me? You do get that. But yeah, they don't. They want to give. They don't want to take. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so heartwarming to hear. And this is years and years of being involved in Uganda by the sounds of it.
No, my first time was, I was there in 2012. That was my first time. And I've gone back pretty much every year since, except after COVID hit. Then I haven't been back since COVID.
So I'm going to ask you a question. And I don't know if you'll remember. I mean, we can talk about it with fond memories because I'm from South Africa. So Africa's in my blood.
Yes.
And I always say you can take man out of Africa, but you can't. It's not my saying. I've heard it before.
Yeah.
You can't take Africa out of man. And I think that's so true. But when you first arrived, what was your first thoughts?
Oh, colorful. Yeah. Canadians, we are so freaking beige. Everything here is beige. Our walls are beige. The streets are beige. At this time of the year, everything outside is beige. And as you know, Cheryl, you go to Africa and it's all about color. And there's just your senses are just poof, because there's so much going on. There's street vendors and there are people running out to you and selling you things through your the open window of your vehicle. Everybody's wearing beautiful outfits that are so colorful. If you go to any house there or anywhere at all, everybody is singing. They're all dancing. Yeah. Now, you know, if you walked into your friend's house and that person was singing and dancing, you'd think, oh, she's a little bit loopy, right?
Yeah.
But that's just part of their life.
Which is one of the things I love about Africa. There's soul there, you know. It doesn't matter that many don't have much. They're still so happy and joyful.
Yeah. For them, the most important thing is connections. When the 2 times that we've brought kids here, in both times they'd say to us, they look outside and say, where is everybody?
Yeah.
They just can't believe we spend all of our time indoors. Where everybody's always outside.
Absolutely.
Nobody goes indoors.
Yeah. Indoors is just for sleeping.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. Especially in the rural areas. Yes. But there's always something that makes me laugh. I mean, they just, especially, so there's been a few times where Ev and I have been walking along and some little kid is trotting along and suddenly looks at us, and it's the first time they've ever seen a white person, and they start shrieking and running. And it's because they think either we're ghosts or they think this is what a black person looks like with skin removed.
Oh my goodness. That's so scary.
They want to take our hand and check out our hand. And you never get to go to the bathroom in privacy because there's always a whole line of kids following you. And then when you go in the little loo, which is just a squat hole in the floor, and you open the door and all these kids are standing there staring at you. I'm not sure what they think they're going to see, but it's very exciting for them.
Yeah, it's very endearing to hear.
Yeah.
So, Valerie, what's important about to you? Why did you say yes to coming on here? What's the story? What do you hope this story will reveal?
Well, I'm one person. I said yes, and look what came of it. Right? People say, "Oh, well, what can I do about that?" Yeah, you can do something about it. You just start something. Somebody's going to fall in behind you, and then somebody else will fall in behind you, and you really can start something. There's a number. I'm not alone in this. Here in Waterloo Region, I know a number of people, women, that have started organizations. Mark Stahlbaum, who's in Cambridge, she goes to a small community somewhere near South Africa. What's it called? Cheryl Eswatini? I know they changed their name not long ago, the name of the country.
Yeah,
Eswatini?
I don't know the names, the new names.
Yeah, I think it's Eswatini. Anyway, and she started a library project there. And now she gets these 40-foot containers here, and she loads them up with library books and school supplies, and she ships them over, and she's been doing that for a year. So that's just 2 of us. So we just started on our own, and we're just like the Pied Piper. You start walking and somebody's going to follow in behind you, because a lot of people want to do this, but they don't know how to start.
Yes.
And you just start by saying yes and see where it takes you. I mean, not every project. I mean, we started with the high school. Well, that didn't work out very well. But it started us, it got us in the right direction. So you don't have to be part of a big organization. You don't have to join any kind of large organization. You can do it on your own. And unfortunately, a lot of these larger organizations do not like to collaborate. They're very protective, and I can understand part of it. They're very protective of their funding source. So they don't really want to share any information. They don't want to collaborate with you because maybe their funders are going to start wanting to fund you instead. So there's a lot of these organizations that work in isolation, which isn't very helpful for the people you're trying to help.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. So we've always done the total opposite. The more we can collaborate, the better.
I love that. And I love that what you said about we didn't know that we couldn't do it, so we did it.
Yeah, that's right.
And it just shows you, like you say, what we can do, and we don't realize it. So you're sharing your story may help people think about, well, maybe I can do something.
Yeah.
And I'm not so hopeless.
Yeah. And there's absolutely nothing to be afraid of. I mean, I was there on my own. I had my handlers with me. I had a young guy and a young woman who were with me all the time, and they arranged everything for me. So, you're not going to be alone. But I think it's really good for us to be just totally booted out of our comfort zone.
I do too.
Because you get a total different perspective on life and on yourself.
Yeah.
And for me, I've always been really good at leading and coming up with ideas and getting people to come with me and go along. But then see ya, you're on your own now. Okay. I can't do that with this organization. I can't do that. I have to stay. I have to keep going forward and moving along with everybody else that wants to participate in this. So,
so
what's next?
Yeah, next trip.
What's next? Yeah, well, my friends there keep asking when I'm coming back again. I wanted to go this year, but it's just not going to work out. So maybe next year. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while since 2020. Since I've been there. I got home quite literally 3 days before the big COVID shutdown. And this is another interesting thing. Okay. So my last trip, I was traveling with a bunch of volunteers, including my little Chinese friend, Rosanna. And so being that she's from China, so she speaks Mandarin and reads Mandarin. So when we were traveling together, she was watching the news out of Wuhan. And so she was saying, oh my goodness, this has happened. And as did it even occur to me that this was going to affect us in Canada? Didn't enter my head. This was something that was so far away. Might get into Africa. It's certainly going to be all over Asia, but it'll never happen in Canada. Boy, what a shock that was when I got home and found out that, suddenly we were in these big shutdowns. So that's another thing about, traveling or doing this kind of work is it really opens you to the idea that it can happen anywhere. It can happen to anyone, and to be grateful for what we have. Yeah, during the whole COVID thing, when everybody was doing, F Trudeau and we want our freedom, people have no clue whatsoever how lucky we are and just how much freedom we have.
Well, and you say that, and I hear what you're saying, and I wonder actually who's the lucky ones. Like, I actually think that we have we've closed ourselves off, right? Because when I think about Africa and the people and the children, especially in these remote areas, they live life with joy, with exuberance, with family, with culture, with community. And think about us in the Western Hemisphere, and we're all very isolated in our little pods.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
I often wonder about, who are the lucky ones actually?
Well, socially, it's definitely the people in places like Africa, because they do have those social connections. They're never really alone. No matter what happens, there's going to be somebody there to help them. I don't know what it's like in South Africa, Cheryl, but in Uganda, funerals are a huge deal.
Yeah.
And they can go on for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
There's, of course, music and food, and people come from miles, even if they didn't really know the person.
Yeah.
It's a cause for celebration. It's a cause for getting together. So I've attended a couple of funerals. You never know that that's what it was, but and there's all kinds of speakers, and it's that whole sense of community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Community. And I would suggest that we could learn from all cultures.
Oh, absolutely.
Theirs, and it's not just like we can look at anything in the world and say this is better than, why don't we all do this? But it's not just the celebration at a funeral. That's an awesome celebration, I think. And
I think it's both, and I think it's just something that it depends what we value. I value that so much because when I'm there, my heart opens when I'm in that kind of environment. When I go to South Africa and I'm in the city, it's very different to being out in the rural areas. So there's that part as well. But I definitely feel that, it's so easy to connect with people there. And hearts are they just open so easily and naturally. when you are dealing with people who are authentically happy and joyful and, and community orientated.
Yeah. And showing them that you deeply respect them.
Mm-hmm.
And, things like don't take a photograph of somebody without asking them.
Mm-hmm.
There's often, I think Westerners feel that we have all these rights and privileges. Well, we don't.
Mm-hmm.
We do not.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been lots of times I've asked somebody, may I take your photograph? And that person has said no, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the kids, of course, and the school, Green Hill, all the kids learned to sing "Oh Canada." So we were there one year and they sang, so they said to us, okay, we're gonna sing to you. So they sang their national anthem and then they sang "Oh Canada." So you have an entire school of 500 or more kids who have all learned "Oh Canada." It wasn't quite right, but it was close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think something else that's important that you said is that we tend to think that we have the answers and that we're going to go there and help and we're going to fix things and we're going to make things better, when in reality, it really is more about asking what is needed than imposing what we think they need.
That's right. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
It reminds me of that book, Marg. I keep going back.
Pardon me?
It reminds me of that book. Remember that book?
Yes, Poisonwood Bible.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And that always, like, it's exactly that, going in and trying to push yourself on others and make them like us.
Yeah.
When they don't want to be like us.
No. It doesn't work for them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And similar to life in general too. I think of when I worked at the low vision clinic, and I would be talking to the interns and I would say, you just don't grab a person who is legally blind and start, walking with them. You ask them if they want a system. You offer them your arm. You don't just naturally assume that this is what they want.
Right.
Or somebody in a wheelchair, you don't start pushing them because you assume. So many things that we can apply to different parts of our lives, right? Different parts of the world can teach us.
Absolutely. I think what's important for me is that we don't make judgments until we have experience. Because you cannot know what Africa is like if you haven't been to Africa.
No.
Uganda is probably different to South Africa or Zimbabwe or, so that's something that I think I learned is not to make those assumptions. When you think, and I go back to this always, that South Africa has 11 official languages. So what does that mean? We're talking about now like 11 tribes or maybe 9 tribes or whatever the case may be. And there's some languages that aren't even acknowledged. So we're talking about tribes that exist that are different from each other in the same place.
Yeah.
And so recognizing that it's not like everybody there is the same.
It's not one size fits all.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So that's why I love having these conversations, and I love traveling because of that. Whether it's to Europe or it's to Africa or it's to Mexico, it's really to be able to experience the culture that's there, which is I think one of the things that I love most. Well, it's already halfway through.
Okay.
So this has been so great. So don't go away. We're going to take a short break right here, and we'll be back with more conversations with Valerie in just a moment. And definitely join us in a couple of minutes.
Please help us say thank you to all of our organizations organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Home Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, come be you.
Thanks for staying with us. We're excited to pick up where we left off with Valerie. We're talking about Uganda, we're talking about culture, we're talking about so many different things that come out of this conversation. And it's just so wonderful to hear what Valerie and some others have done and made a difference in Uganda, just by starting, one person starting, getting an idea, and getting things up and running. So, yeah, that's truly amazing, Valerie.
Mm-hmm.
What else would you like to share with us about Uganda?
Yeah, when we were talking about making assumptions, so I think that idea hit particularly hard home to me when I was there. There was 2018 was the 25th anniversary of the genocide in Rwanda, and my friend Jenny and I went to Rwanda because it's neighboring Uganda. And at that point, I don't think I even realized it was the 25th anniversary. But when we got there, we certainly learned quickly. So Rwanda is very good at remembering what happened and not hiding anything. There's all kinds of centers and museums, and it's very disturbing, but of course important. So we went to one center. It was actually almost like a cemetery where they had an underground cavern that was full of coffins and bones of the people that had been slaughtered. And it was all glass fronted, so you could see them. So you could really see exactly what had happened to these people. But there was a docent who was walking us around and explaining everything. And there was, I think, a couple, and then there was Jenny and I. And then there was this guy from Belgium. And he was stinking drunk. And he had his guide with him, and his guide, of course, couldn't control this guy. And this Belgian was slobbering and yelling, and I was really angry. I thought, you ass, what are you doing here? You're just going to ruin everything. I was really disgusted. Well, about halfway through, he sort of stopped and started to cry. And he told us that he had been a soldier there during the genocide. This was his first time coming back. He wanted to be there for the 25th anniversary. He said, we knew what was happening and we did nothing. He was a UN soldier. Wow. What that was huge for me, that I had made assumptions about this guy. So he went from being a drunken jerk to being probably one of the bravest people I've ever met, right? What it took for him to be there, not just come back to Rwanda, but during the 25th celebration, or well, not celebration, the 25th remembrance of what had happened. Yeah, that was very powerful. Very powerful.
And to say it out loud.
Yes. And he was just he said it kind of quietly, like he wasn't making a big pronouncement or anything, and we just are listening, going, what did he just say? Holy cow. I didn't expect that at all.
Yeah, that was very sad. I haven't been there and I don't know much, but I think I heard that the way they the people there have reconciled with their neighbors and really sort of, in a way, practice restorative justice.
Yes, absolutely. They have.
Because
Yes.
they haven't been afraid to talk about it.
No,
They
no, they
haven't
have
swept
not.
it under the carpet.
Definitely not. No.
Yeah.
No, those memory centers that they have, they've really spent a lot of money. And Rwanda is unbelievably clean. It's a beautiful little country, very hilly, very green. Uganda's not so much. I mean, it's beautiful, but in the towns and everything, there's a lot of garbage around. And then you cross over the border into Rwanda, and they have this really neat system where I think it's once every couple of weeks or something on a Friday, everybody in the whole country has to stop whatever they're doing, go outside and pick up garbage. If you're able-bodied, you pick up garbage. The whole country. Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
It is.
So clean.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so clean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was thinking of another book that I've read, only this one is not fiction. It was Left to Tell, the Rwanda story. Very, very powerful biography, I guess. So you're speaking of different things that you experienced while you were there. Is there anything that you have adopted? Not anyone, but anything that you have.
I've adopted lots of people. Yeah.
But in a ritual, in a practice, like you're saying that they go out and they pick up garbage once whatever. Have any custom or anything that you brought back that you do now?
Well, I was only in Rwanda for a few days, so more, if I've picked anything, any habits or anything up, it's from the Ugandans. And it's certainly about having a softer approach to life. Yeah. I think I'm a kind person, but I can also be quite strong in my opinions, as y'all know. So sometimes I try to just dial it back just a little bit. Yeah, I think it's really made me think about what is important in life. And it's really I've always been very independent, so I like being on my own. So it's the importance of relationships. Yeah, I really like that. And my family has, not so much my kids, because I am rather attached to them, but my siblings and such, had not previously spent a lot of time with them, just because I never thought about it, but now I do. Yeah, so I think they're pining for the old days when I left them alone.
And your kids, have they ever been?
No, my daughter will never go. She's very different than me. She's a real homebody, and she has the whitest skin. She would burn up like a piece of bacon there. Yeah, and then my son, of course, he has a family, so it's not going to work for him either. But I'd like to take my grandkids when they're older. I'd like them to experience it. I talked to them about Uganda. I'd like to show them the film too, but I seem to have lost my copy. But I think it would be, when they're only 7 and 9, so they're still not that impressed with what Nana does. I found one of my old press cards the other day, and I gave it to my granddaughter, and she said, "What's this?" And I told her, and she said, "Eh." And she handed it back to me. Okay, you're not ready. You're not ready to be dazzled by your grandmother yet.
That is too funny. That is too funny. Favorite dish?
Oh, food in Uganda is terrible.
What does they eat?
Really?
It's a lot of
mini meal.
It's a kind of beans, and not rice is considered really top end. So you don't, especially, it's not so much in the city. You can get whatever you want in the city, but when you're out in the boonies, it's sort of like a mushy cereal. They really don't use spices or anything, not in the rural area. So it's very bland, very, very heavy. So but
is it mostly from stuff they've grown on their land?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yep. I do like the tilapia. So when I'm in the city or a town or wherever I'm staying, I always order the fish and chips. You get a whole tilapia and it's grilled.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and their potatoes are out of this world. The soil, they don't call them potatoes. They call them Irish. So you have tilapia and Irish. And I guess it's the soil because their chips are so good. The
Mm-hmm.
potato chips, French fries. Yeah. So I eat a lot of that when I'm there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Mm.
And I know you brought back some dresses from there.
Yeah, I usually always bring back a bunch of stuff. Yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
try not to. People think that they should gather up a lot of stuff here and take it there. And I don't agree with that. I mean, there's some things that we would take that they couldn't get there, especially teaching supplies, things like that. But I prefer to collect money here, go over there and buy it there because I know where I can buy things.
And then you're supporting their economy as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think the second last time I was there, we got together with a local organization, and we got Mensa's kits for the girls. And so we were underneath this beautiful mango tree outside of the school on the property, handing out these kits. And then the boys came up to us and said, "Well, what about us?" Like, gee, I never even thought about you guys. Sorry. So we rushed back into town and bought little packages with candy and clean underwear and a toothbrush. So, there at that point there were 700 students. So that was a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. So you always have to think of all the kids there as a collective because everything you give them, a pencil, is thrilling. A toothbrush, oh my goodness, it is absolutely Christmas. Candy, we took a bunch of candy canes. Yeah, they thought that was pretty cool. So
yeah, absolutely, because they can't get them there.
No,
and if they can, it's probably costs more than they have. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Go ahead.
What do they celebrate? Do they celebrate Christmas?
Oh yeah. They're all Christian based. That's the thing that's great about Uganda. They're very open to all faiths. There's all kinds of churches all over the place, and the Catholics do not have a bad reputation as they do in some places where they've been accused of the missionaries come in and really doing a lot of damage. It's not like that at all there. Where I stay in Kampala is actually a Catholic center. So all the nuns gather there from all over the country, and that's pretty neat. I go down for breakfast, and there's all sorts of different nuns from different parts of the country, and there's a couple of priests that live there. So the Catholics have done a lot of good for the country. I would say they're probably number one, but there's churches all over the place. Every faith you could think of is there, and they all cohabitate.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, it's nice.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I'm not sure.
There's a song at Christmas that comes out that I can't remember what it is, and it is annoying to me because it says about they don't know something in Africa, and I think it should be taken off the air because it's a slight to, in my opinion, to people in Africa, and that's maybe not what's intended, but anyway, that's what brought that question up, and what do they celebrate, and it sounds like diverse, and that's awesome.
Yeah, they celebrate anything at all. Not so much birthdays. Birthdays aren't really a big, mostly because, especially in the rural area where I am, they don't know when their birthday is. So what's the point of celebrating?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Christmas is a big deal. Easter is a big deal.
But you see, now, isn't that interesting? That's something that's so important in Western culture.
Yeah.
Our birthday. And there it's like, it's not a big deal because we don't know. And it doesn't matter that we don't know when we were born.
Yeah.
It's not a thing.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to have a friend, and he said he never celebrates his birthday because he had nothing to do with it. Why should he celebrate it? That's a good point. Yeah, he didn't. That was your mom's doing it.
I always think about the moms on somebody's birthday, and I always wish them happy birthday.
Yeah.
Because nobody thinks of that, really.
No, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. So, is there
somebody watching the show, what would you suggest if somebody wanted to do something, help in some way? What would you suggest they do?
Well, it depends what area. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, feel free. I'm happy to share my information. I don't hoard any of my information,
Mhm.
because I always say that what happened with me in Uganda is a dream come true, a dream I didn't even know I had. I
Yeah.
really had no
Yeah.
idea. I mean, I always wanted to go to Africa. I read about
Mhm.
Africa from the time I was a little kid,
Mhm.
but I never dreamt of that I was going to go there and start an organization and, bring all these people along with me. But yeah, so you sort of decide what part of the world you're interested in, and there's always an organization in your community that does some work there. The
Mhm.
Grandmothers to Grandmothers organization, which of course, as you know, Cheryl works in South Africa.
Mhm.
It's Stephen Lewis's foundation.
Mhm.
And there's a group here, they're called Onasiskoma. They're here in Kitchener, but they're all over the place.
Yeah.
And they originally were raising money to help grandmothers who were raising AIDS orphaned grandchildren.
Correct.
But
Right.
AIDS isn't quite as much of an issue as it was, so
Mhm.
they're spreading out now. Now they're doing things like scholarships and,
Mhm.
school support.
Mhm.
So they're
Mhm.
a fabulous organization. They do a
Mhm.
lot of really good work, and that's just one. There's all kinds of
Mm.
organizations.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Doing different things in different parts
Yeah,
of Africa
Mhm.
for sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah. Now I had a question and I can't remember it.
Mhm.
Well, while you're thinking, I'll ask one.
Okay.
I'm very ignorant with regards to politics, but I'm going to ask the question, what's the political climate there?
Oh, well, Museveni has been the president for 30 years, and he just changed the constitution a few years ago so he could continue serving. Remind you of somebody else? Yeah. But, I mean, it's supposed to be a democracy, but in fact, he runs everything.
Mhm.
But it's a very peaceful place, and they're very, very good with taking care of refugees because they border South Sudan, and I have been up in the north of Uganda at the South Sudanese border. And so when they can come across the border. They're put into a camp there. The United Nations they help them a little bit, but not
Mhm.
much. It's really the Ugandans that do the work. So they get them all settled in this camp, and then they bring them down into the city. And that the Catholic Center where I was saying where I stay, um, they have a lot of support for them there. So they bring them there. They give them their it's like a citizenship, not a citizenship. It's an identification card so they can
Mhm.
get a job.
Mhm.
And they take very good care of them.
Mhm.
The one time I was there, in the middle of the night, I heard this wailing. It was so awful. It was just, you've heard that expression,
Mhm.
keening. This woman was keening. And
Mhm.
I got up in the morning and I was like, who's making that noise all that night? And one of
Mhm.
the nuns said, she introduced me to the lady because her room was right across from mine. She had just arrived from South Sudan and she had watched her brother be murdered.
Oh.
And she had escaped, and she was
Mhm.
her whole emotion was
Mhm.
had just escaped her, and she just couldn't help it.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was very sad. But
Mhm.
yeah, I admire Uganda particularly for that, how it takes care
Mhm.
of refugees, even though they don't have a lot themselves. They take care of the lesser thans,
Yeah,
the ones who have nothing.
that's good to hear. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really good to hear.
Mhm.
Thank you,
Um,
Valerie. That was a very sad story and showed so much heart. And yeah,
mhm.
thank you
Mhm.
for sharing that.
Mhm.
You're welcome. Mhm. Cheryl,
Mhm.
did you remember what you wanted to ask me? No.
Probably when we sign off, that's when
Yeah.
I'll remember.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Oh.
when we go back again, I'm really hoping that this high
Oh,
school that they oh, you thought of it. Good.
I did.
Go ahead.
I wanted to ask you about the movie, if that's something that you
Oh,
could
yeah.
still get access to.
Uh, yeah, you think I would have a copy of it. It's 11 years old now, but I'll see if I can get a copy of it somewhere. It really relates to the first school, the high
Mhm.
school. Not
Mhm.
there's a little bit in there about the elementary school, but So that's why we really hadn't been showing it, because we're not part of that, or that part of that high school anymore. But I'll see if I can
That would
get
be
a copy of
awesome.
it.
Yeah, that would
Thank you.
really be lovely.
Yeah.
So somebody's asked, what are the challenges to traveling to Uganda or Africa in general?
Long flights and expense. That's about. Although now the last time I flew, the flights were about $1,800. And I've flown many different ways. KLM, British Airways. My favorite is Ethiopian Air, because then you fly directly to Africa, and then it's only another couple of hours to Uganda from Addis Ababa. So it's, you just have to be prepared for long travel. As long as you're doing it through an organization, they will have somebody at the other end there to take care of you. And you don't need fancy hotels. The place I say, there's beautiful hotels there. I would never stay in one. I like staying at the Catholic Center, because it's a nice, comfortable room. I have my own bathroom. The food is good. And yeah, I prefer that. So yeah, just don't expect 5-star. There's 5-star there, but if you 5-star it, you're separating yourself from the community. And if you're going there for this reason, don't do that. Be as close to the community as you can.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. Beautifully said. Because if you do go the 5-star route, you're not experiencing Africa.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. And people don't really appreciate, and don't go with all your jewelry. I leave all my jewelry at home, the jewelry that I never wear anyway. So it's not much of a sacrifice. But yeah, I dress very simply, and yeah, just try to be part of them, accepted into the fold, and they certainly do accept you.
Oh yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
what's their health care like?
Oh, the healthcare is actually quite good. When my friend Ev that I travel there with, she tends to get into a lot of mischief. Something always happens to her. The last time we went together, she ended up with an eye infection. We weren't even off the plane yet. She's got food poisoning. She ended up with a little infection. Something's always happening to her. So, but you can walk into the office of a specialist. You don't have to be referred. I was bitten by a venomous snake while I was there in 2014, I think it was. And I just walked into the doctor's office, and she cleaned out the wound and, gave me some medication, and that was it. So it's very accessible. As long as and it's, it's not, I think I paid her about $40 for everything. Yeah. But if we have time, I have a funny story to tell you about a doctor. Do we have time?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Go for it.
All right. So I think this was the last time I was there, and my right ear suddenly plugged up solid, and it was knocking my balance off a bit. So I went to the local doctor. Now, this guy, he's not very competent, but he'd been a politician for a long time, and he got out of politics. He thought he'd go back to being a doctor again without any further training. I don't think he'd been a doctor for 20 years. Anyway, he set up a little office, and this is the community where the elementary school is. And so I went into the room, and told me to sit down, and then the door opens, and this young woman comes in, and she sits down, and then a guy comes in, and he sits down, and all of a sudden I've got an audience. I think, thank goodness it wasn't a gynecological exam. I have an audience here.
That is so funny.
So and he gave me this big long diagnosis, what was the problem was, and gave me all this medication. And when I got back here to Canada, I went to my doctor. He says, "Oh no, you were just probably poking around in your ear, and you shoved some wax in there." And so that was an experience. So you really have to go to a qualified doctor.
Oh,
That
so
was very
funny.
amusing.
Yeah. And what cultural traditions or values stood out for you the most?
I think just the joy of music, the dancing. Oh my goodness, the dancing. I get so excited with the dancing and the drumming in particular. Yeah, they wanted to show us because each drum has a meaning. So there's a celebratory drumming, there's come help drumming, and they have to be very careful. They wanted to show us when we were in the village, but they had to be very quiet
Mm-hmm.
because otherwise everybody from all the community, because drums, the sound really
Yeah.
travels. They would
Yeah.
all,
So
so I
a way
thought,
of
yeah,
communicating with each other.
absolutely, yeah. So
Yeah.
they talk about the stereotypical jungle drums. Well, that's
Mm-hmm.
absolutely true, and it's
Mm-hmm.
still in use now, and it's
Mm-hmm.
very effective because
Yeah.
those drums, they
And they sing
transform.
so beautifully. I
Oh my
mean, their
goodness, yeah.
voices. I remember in Botswana, we did a 4x4 trip, and we were in the middle of nowhere, and we just heard this beautiful singing, like voices of angels.
Mm-hmm.
And we eventually came to this little school building, like one room in the middle of nowhere. Like, I don't even know where these kids came from. And they were singing, and it was just so beautiful. It
Yeah.
was really very touching.
Yeah, they certainly know how to sing and to dance right from the time that
Yeah.
they're toddlers. As soon as they can walk, they start dancing.
Yeah. They got
And it's funny
rhythm.
when my daughter is she's been a Zumba instructor and a dancer for years, and I remember showing them a video of her dancing, and they all looked at me and said, "We didn't know white people could dance." Well, some of us can. They were shocked. Yeah, and then we were all at a concert together, and we were up on an upper level in the mezzanine and looking down, and everybody was up dancing, and I looked around and said, "Oh my goodness, they're right. White people can't dance." It was very funny. So just that wonderful sense of humor, just laughing all the time.
Mhm.
Laughing and loving. That's what they do.
Mhm.
Laughing and loving.
Yes, absolutely. Well, the next time you do plan a trip,
Hmm.
I hope that that's something that some of us can join you with.
Oh, absolutely.
And we can certainly share it with people on the show
Hmm.
if they want to join and go and experience this wonderful adventure.
Absolutely.
That
Well,
can be explained in words, right?
yeah. Yeah, well, you can just look on the map for Kaliro, Kaliro, in Uganda, and that sort of the village is not that far from Kaliro, and the
Okay.
roads are really fun. You have to
Mhm.
wear a bra because it just bounces the heck out of you.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the roads are really rough, but
yeah,
that's part of the fun. There's no
yeah,
paved roads.
yeah.
Mhm.
And I don't know about Uganda, but certainly in some of the places that I've been to, the Toyota
Yeah,
buggies are
yeah, that's the standard.
the standard car for Africa. They can just go and
Absolutely.
do about over any terrain.
Mhm. Yep, that's true. Yeah.
Well, we are coming to the end of the show.
Right.
So before we leave, what would you like to leave our listeners thinking about after this show?
Okay. Well, I've talked about this a lot in the past about people that get upset about the media and blame the media
Mm-hmm.
for all the bad news, and they don't want to watch anything because of the bad news. And as I always say, then do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
You can do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
Watch what's going on in the world and try to find something that you can do to help. It might be something small, but it's something. I know this is cliche, but be the change.
You want to see in the world. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. And in unity, that's our fifth principle, right?
Yeah,
Put
that's
your
right.
feet
It
to the
is.
talk.
We are part of a larger world.
Exactly.
And humans are so fantastic. We're so colorful and bright and interesting and unique,
Mm-hmm.
and that should be celebrated.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Mark, any last thoughts or words?
I love what you just said there, Valerie. Similar to all media is not good, you said people are to be celebrated, basically, right?
Yep.
And there is often this slant the other way. Oh, people are so in a negative way. And I really appreciate that you said a positive to us people. Educational show. Thank you so much. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm sure I'll be coming up with more questions for you when we meet person to person.
Yeah. Okay. No problem. I'm always here.
Well, we're so grateful that you joined us for this wonderful conversation, Valerie. It's really been a true joy to hear about your experiences and just to hear about how inspiring one can be starting from something so small. I mean, you like you said, you paint a room and then you've got to do more. And it sounds like that's exactly what you guys did. You
Yeah.
did something for a little school, then there was another school and more stuff for the kids, and it just kept growing. And it sounds like you've had a wonderful impact over the years. So thank you so much for all you do and who you are. And we look forward to possibly going to Uganda with you.
It's a party. It's fun, fun, fun.
There you go.
Awesome.
So take
Awesome.
care, everyone.
Okay.
Like,
Thank you.
subscribe, and share. And we'll see you next week.
Okay. Bye, y'all.
Bye.